Christ consciousness, and Johnson was praying. Do you understand? And so was Dolores Blackman Bradley. So we're going to talk about her today. So my grandmother is having memory changes, right, at this time in her life. And so she has some things going on that caused me to leave my home and come and live with her. So I lived with her, and I just need to tell you that I thought I knew what she needed. Oh, yeah, some of you have tried and failed at this, yes? Many people have tried and failed at telling the elders what they need. I don't know whether it's the young people and your parents, the old people and your parents. Well, whoever it is, some of us already know that's not the way to come into the situation. I did not know. So what I did instead was literally all the wrong things. Like when I later learned about dementia and looked it up, I said, oh my. Literally everything wrong. Trying to control, trying to limit, trying to tell, oh, you don't need to do that. Take away her autonomy. Some of y'all got somebody at home. You're going to absolutely show this video. See, this is what I've been trying to tell you. Don't come in here trying to take away all of my power. Right? And she was so angry. Just tight and just angry all the time. She said things to me that let me know she wasn't herself. And so what did they say? It'll take you into prayer, right? It took me a minute to figure that out. I'm not going to lie to you. That's the whole point of this talk, is that it took me a minute because I was figuring. Do you understand? And what I learned to call upon was a different kind of language. I understood that there was some other way of communicating to her that had to work better than this. See, y'all know I'm down with the social justice, fighting for justice, but the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So you got to come with something. Sometimes people ask me, well, how's your grandmother doing? This is what I say, undefeated. Undefeated. My will was no match for her. We're talking about a person who was in the civil rights at the beginning. And let me tell you what she did. She worked for the EEOC. So often she was the first black woman that had ever told somebody white what to do. I'm no match for her. You know, I had met, and I should have known that because I am who she made me. Right? So I'm looking for another way to communicate because I have utterly failed at the first attempt. And one of the things that I noticed, that I talk about with you and everyone quite a bit, is that she had the so-called TV news on 24 hours a day. People would call her, did you see what happened on Joy Reid? Did you see that? It was all day just on that channel in the background. She wasn't watching it all the time, but it was on all day in the background. Now, I know I'm not talking about anybody in here, but I'm just going to say it wasn't helping. Right? Thoughts are things. So anything that is coming at you all the time without you monitoring it, without you paying attention to, is this what I want to be thinking about? Anything. I don't care if it's music, if it's somebody talking to you, anything that's coming in, you have to be monitoring. You have to be paying attention to, is this something I want more of? I don't watch television news because there is no television news. There's television opinion. I have not seen news on television in so long that I turn it on and I go, whoo. So I couldn't even be in the room where this was going on in the house. I'd be in the kitchen, someplace else, because it was like, it was pain to my ears. And I know it was because I hadn't been watching it, right? So I'm telling you this as you know how I'm going to use this example. You know how if you live with a certain set of smells in your house, you don't notice them. And then you go outside of your house, and then you come back in and you go, whoa, okay, I need to do something different in here. I'm gonna get some candles, some air freshener. Did I not clean this over here? We're gonna take this out. You adjust. So I want you to come out of the television for just a little bit and see what happens. Because here's what happened with my grandmother. I turned it off, and I had one of those little Google speakers in our house. And we had, it could, Google speakers are, I didn't want one at first, but when I saw what it did for her, you could talk to it and say, hey, Google, and the Amazon has one, Alexa, all the things, and it'll play a song. If you tell it to play a song, I had to get the premium one, but whatever, it'll play the song. And so she could talk to it and say, hey, Google, play Sweet Honey in the Rock. Hey, Google, play Nina Simone. Hey, Google, play Marvin Gaye. And she started listening to some of her favorite songs, and I would see it come over her face. Because you're talking about a person whose house was the place of peace for me. This is how I grew up. My grandmother's house was prayed up. It was a sanctuary. It was where you were going to get love and nurturing and cookies and some direction. Some correction. But it was going to come from a place of love, a place of a woman who understands the peace that passes all understanding. That's what I knew was supposed to be here. And so when I unplugged the wrong source and plugged in the music, the songs, the things that had always inspired her, everything changed. Her 85th birthday was coming at the time, and I asked her, well, what song do you want to hear? Tell me a song. And she said, oh, they don't have that. I couldn't really explain. She would say, like, oh, the DJ has been playing all these songs. I know people are tired of listening to Nina Simone, because in her mind, what was playing at her house was also playing in somebody else's house. So she thought, And so she said, they're not going to have that. I said, no, Grandma, any song in the history of the world that you ever loved. And she said, oh, I used to have this song that I loved when I was little called Accentuate the Positive. Yes, you got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. We had so much fun, we found about 15 versions of this song. And because we're from Detroit, we settled on Aretha Franklin. And we listened to that song about 1 billion times. Every birthday, every time I talk to her, whenever she's going there, I said, well, you got to accentuate. Because you have to have, as Reverend Andrea used to say, breadcrumbs. You have to have something that will remind you where you want to be. A trail that's going to take you back to where you want to be. My great-grandmother had What a Friend We Have in Jesus.